welcome to my channel. My name is Brianne Beebe. I'm a high school math teacher and I love talking about all things productivity and organization for teachers. So this video here has been a long time coming. I'm going to share with you my favorite recipe for overnight oats, and we're going to talk about batching. So this is a meal prep that I would do Sunday nights before starting a new week of school, but I am pregnant right now and I'm craving these oats for breakfast, so I'm going to make them now, and that's why it took so long to make the video, because I wanted to do it in the spring and then couldn't because of time constraints and just other things that were happening, and then school was out, so it was like I'm not meal prepping this anymore, but I'm gonna do it today. So I'm gonna make 4 containers of oats, and we'll talk about batching. So whenever I talk about batching, I introduce it as like an example of meal prepping. I feel like I didn't really word that correctly, but that's usually the example I come up with when someone's like, wait, what is batching? So the idea is that if I were to meal prep and I'm gonna make this oats recipe, I'm not going to do it in a way that doesn't make sense. Batching is like the ultimate work smarter, not harder. So essentially what I would be doing is not completing like 1 container of overnight oats and then going on to the next container of overnight oats. I'm gonna repeat the same step for all of my containers. That would be an example of batching, like a very basic, simple one. So the first ingredient is your oats. It's only half a cup. So I'm gonna put that in each of my 4 containers. I just have these like cheap Rubbermaid containers so that if I brought this to school to eat and forgot it, lost it, something happened to it, my heart would not be broken. So we just have, you know, your regular oats. I didn't even tell you what kind this is. This is peanut butter overnight oats, and then in the morning you slice up banana to go into it, so it's peanut butter banana, which is like one of the best combinations ever. So the next step is to take a pinch of salt and add it to each container. So batching simply would be a process where you're completing a task that has several steps, but you're repeating like the same step over and over for, I usually just say, multiple projects. And when I talk about batching, one of the most common ways that I batch is batch lesson planning. And I have other videos that explain my process, but I've also created a workshop dedicated to walking teachers through step by step how to set up their own system for batch lesson planning, and I swear by batch lesson planning. But when I'm batching my lesson plans and I'm creating notes for my classes, I'm not doing like 1 day of notes and then moving on to something else. I'm doing, let's say I'm in geometry, I'm doing notes for the entire week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If I was doing notes 5 days a week, which I usually don't. It depends on the week, it's always different. The next ingredient is peanut butter. So it's 2 tablespoons. And I was trying to be prepared and get everything, but I forgot one tool. I swear by this thing. This helps like scoop out the peanut butter, and it helps me get like an accurate-ish. Because I'm not trying to be accurate here because it's not super, it's not like it's baking, but it helps me get like an actual 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. And this is like the more time-consuming part, is getting the peanut butter in there. So batch lesson planning is always my favorite thing to talk about, but the reality is it's a lot of work and a lot of forethought. But batching doesn't always have to be that way. So batching could look different for different things. I can't remember where I talked about this, if it was during the Organized Teacher Challenge or something else, but I was saying how, like, you know, batch lesson planning, you need an actual plan to do it because there are so many components. But when I was closing down my classroom for the summer, I had to basically take garbage bags, like the giant ones, and use those to cover all my bookshelves. Because I have open shelving this year where I used to have cabinets that locked. So I did, I think, 2 of the bookshelves, and then I said, okay, now that I like know exactly what I need to do and how, I need to find a way to batch this to make it a little bit easier and smoother of a process. So after that, I just unrolled all the garbage bags and set them on a desk, and then I cut like several pieces of tape, and then I just had to go through and like tape them on the cabinets. So like that's like nothing. Like, it was really simple. And that's one of those ways where like people do that automatically in real life and they batch without knowing that they're actually batching. So the next thing that I add is a tablespoon of either honey or maple syrup. I'm not a fan of maple syrup, so like I would usually opt for honey, but I'm like very particular. I get like this one honey from this local gift shop in my town and I don't want to use it all on this. So I started buying this stuff. It's maple syrup and honey put together. So this stuff's actually pretty good. I get it at Walmart. My Walmart has not had it in stock until like the week that I decided I wanted to make this, so that was good. Yeah, I decided I wanted to make this. I tried another overnight oats recipe because I was like, it's summer. Let me try new recipes. It wasn't that good. I will not be recommending that one. It was like strawberries, banana. It did not come out good. It was very runny. So if we want to talk about batching, that's not like a whole big process. One thing that you could try batching is your grating. So batching your grating could look a few different ways. I have a blog post on this topic. So I almost knocked it over talking with my hands. So it's 1 tablespoon. So you could look at the blog post to see like what it looked like, because when I wrote the blog post, I was very much focused on distance or remote learning or hybrid, whatever that was that we had going on last year, because we did like so many different things. So I went into like detail about how I batch grade for grading digitally, because that's all we did last year. But if it's something like a test or a quiz, I typically give 2 versions of every test and quiz. So when I go to grade it, I start by making a pile of all of one version. So I'll have a pile of version 1, a pile of version 2, and I grade 1 at a time. So I'm not going to go back and forth grading version 1, version 2, and you know, going back and forth like that. It's really confusing and it takes longer because your brain has to like kind of shift lanes a little bit. Whereas when I grade like all of one version, I start memorizing the answers and it makes it really fast and easy to get through it. Okay, so that's it for the honey, peanut butter. I'm gonna put these away. And by away, I just mean in the sink. Okay, so confession, I do have my blog post open just so I don't miss anything, because pregnancy brain, it's been very real lately. In the blog post I was talking about when I was batching my grading that I would give, because I had 2 separate classes, I would give 2 classes the same assignment because they were both geometry, and I would grade all of that geometry assignment in total before moving on to another assignment. So I would grade it for both classes before moving on. So another thing that you can batch is your email. And this depends on what exactly you're emailing and how much and all of that, but during remote learning, hybrid, whatever, I was emailing my students in the morning saying today's the last day that you can turn in this assignment. And it was a good way for me to not have to have a conversation with them later about like, oh, I forgot. It's like it was in your email, so you have no excuse. So I would batch that. I would send them all the same email. I actually would use an email template. I have, what's that called? An IGTV? Nope, I think it's a reel. I have a reel on Instagram. I told you, pregnancy brain is so real right now. I have a reel on Instagram that goes through like the process of creating a template for your email if you're using Gmail. So I'll link that below. Our next ingredient is almond milk, so I'm going to add that. Now the recipe that I'll have linked below is for 3/4 cups. I use 2/3 of a cup because otherwise it's like too liquidy, and I don't like it too liquidy. So as I go through, and I haven't really mentioned this, but like the peanut butter's in there, the honey and stuff, I just do it one at a time. I didn't see the honey and stuff. I was like, is that really in there? Because that'd be a problem. All right, and then I just dump in the almond milk, and I'm gonna do that for each of these. In my mind, this video is gonna come out like much easier for me to talk about batching while doing this at the same time, but now I'm like, this might be a mistake. So if it's really confusing because I'm going back and forth talking about 2 different things, I apologize. Another thing that you can batch is creating your slides for the week. So that depends on how you want to look at it. I ended up doing more slides than normal this past school year because of being virtual for most of the year and then hybrid and all that mess. I wanted to keep everyone on the same page, so I started every class by showing a slide for the Google Meet, and then I also had a slide that went up every single day in Google Classroom just explaining what we're doing and all that good stuff. So I would do all of those in one sitting. Like, I wouldn't make a slide for Monday and then not come back to it. Like, I would make the slide for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all in one sitting, all for like geometry. And then I would come back and go Monday through Friday again for calculus. So that was just another way that you could batch. And then another thing I talked about batching was assigning assignments in Google Classroom. So that was actually similar to how I described the slides, where I would get all the assignments in Google Classroom for geometry Monday through Friday, and then do the same thing for calculus Monday through Friday. I actually broke it down a little bit more than that because there are so many different components to a Google Classroom assignment that when I was really overwhelmed, I wouldn't completely finish posting an assignment. I would go in and first just like set it up with the title of whatever the lesson was. I'd put the date, and I'd also add in like a circle emoji at the beginning. So it was color coded. So Monday was red, Tuesday was orange, and we just went rainbow order. And I have that set up, and then I'd go back and add like all the attachments for Monday through Friday. And then I'd go back again and add in like the directions and all the text. And then I'd go in and assign it. And it was what I needed at the time, but by the end of the school year, when things kind of, I don't want to say that they slowed down, but when like the end was in sight and I wasn't feeling so like I was drowning in stuff, it was easier to go through and do like the full assignment for Monday in geometry and then move on to Tuesday, etc. Okay, so the next step in the recipe is just to mix everything up. And this is the part that's annoying because peanut butter is so thick that you kind of have to break it up a little bit before you can really stir. So this is what I mean about batching. It'd be annoying to go through this whole process, put in just the oats the one time, the peanut butter once, everything through the almond milk, and then sit here and stir it, and then have to start all over again on the next bowl. That's another thing that I like about this recipe is it gives you recipe for individual bowls. So if I was craving it and wanted just one, I could make just one. And if I wanted more, I could make more. So mine looks like this when I finish stirring it, and then I can put the lid on it and it'll go in the refrigerator, but not until after I finish stirring the rest. So waiting for that click. Okay, so I have the rest of these to stir. I'm gonna check to see if there's anything else I talked about batching. Okay, so I covered everything that was in the blog post, but again, it's linked below in case you want to read it. Okay, so while I'm stirring the rest of these, that was everything from the blog post. So if you want like more details, if you want to see pictures of what it is that I'm talking about batching, you can look there and it's all there for you. I'm trying to think of what else I batch. It's kind of hard talking about like back to school and school stuff when it's been so long since we've had like a normal school year, and I don't think we're going to have a normal school year again. Like, it's still going to be weird, I think. My school has not told us anything as of the filming of this video, which is August 5th. So we go back August 31st for professional development. This year's gonna actually start off really strange because we normally would go back that, like the 31st is a Tuesday, so we'd go back the last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of August, or it might go into September depending on the calendar year. So we're doing those like 3 days of professional development, and then we also are going in on Friday, which normally we wouldn't. Normally we'd have a 4-day weekend for Labor Day. We're still getting a 4-day weekend. The thing is, the training that we are going to have on Friday is for the entire school. It's not just the teachers, like the aides and everyone else comes back for like bloodborne pathogens, those trainings. And this year, instead of landing on the Tuesday after Labor Day, like it normally would, they had to put it on the Friday before Labor Day because the Tuesday after Labor Day is I believe Rosh Hashanah. It comes first, Rosh Hashanah and then Yom Kippur. So we have off for Rosh Hashanah where we are because that's to meet the needs of our community. And so we won't be able to be in school that day. So it's gonna be weird because we're gonna have all the training days 4 in a row, a 4-day weekend, and then that following Wednesday, which I think is September 8th, we are on the first day of school. I feel like I might come up with a part 2 of this video because it's hard to talk about like how I would batch during a normal school year when we haven't had a normal school year in a while. Like there's certain things I'm scared I'm gonna forget how to do or that I used to do it. I feel like I'm going to be relearning my job again this year. And then that's if things are normal-ish. I don't know that they will be. And then for me, no matter what, this year is not going to be normal because I'm going to go back to school for maybe about a month. I am not really sure yet. It depends on what my doctors say. And then I'm going out on maternity leave. So I don't really know. That's gonna be weird. I'm gonna be missing the beginning of the year. And believe me, like many other teachers, I tried to plan it so that I could have the baby like in the spring and then have my maternity leave hook up to summer break. Didn't work out that way. Okay, so now I have these 4 containers all done and stirred. They're going to go in the fridge and they're gonna sit in there overnight. Tomorrow morning, they'll be ready to eat. And what I like to do is put mine in the microwave. I actually, like this during the school year was too much for me. I don't know about it now that I'm like super pregnant and hungry all the time. Like I might be able to eat this whole thing now, but I would like take one of the bowls, cut it in half, put it into a microwavable bowl and put it into the microwave for 30 seconds and then slice in the banana. So you could have it warm or cold, depends on your preferences, but I definitely prefer warm. You know, I actually don't even like oatmeal. This is the only way that I've ever liked it enough to eat it. Go figure. So this video is a bit ramblier than I expected, and that's just because I was trying to do 2 things at once. I tried something new. Maybe it's gonna work out, maybe it won't. We'll find out in editing. But either way, if you have questions about batching or anything else, leave them in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.